kind of exploring, and the plans were to, make interesting, nuanced, complex characters, and particularly the character you mentioned. And I didn't really, I kind of feel like either you do, I'm just going to get my own preference here, but either you do like a kind of massive, kind of one villain that is so formidable, you just can't imagine how it is that your protagonist is going to be able to overcome it, or you have to sort of really populate kind of the Injustice, these big group villains where you get to have all these different characters. So I was at the time really trying to kind of hone in and focus on that character and get into depth and detail about it to make him seem as impressive as if like there was the opportunity to do. I don't know, that's the only detail
Way back in the back there, in the back corner. Is that a back corner? I see. Yes, hello, you. Yes, hi. I think a mic is probably a good idea. Yeah.
Okay, you got it.
Hi, Zach. I'm Christian, and I'm an art center student in film. This is a question for you. If you could go back and give your younger self advice, what would it be?
Sorry, could you repeat?
Yeah, no, I got it. He said, what would I do if I went back and met my younger, what would the advice I would give to my younger self? Like, my art center self?
Yes.
Right. Yeah, I mean, look, I have no regrets, and I feel like everything's gone, the experiences I've had, and it's hard to say, like, if you did this, everything would go much better. And yeah, I'm sure there's advice I could give to my younger self that would make things be smoother sometimes. But the bumps are what make you kind of who you are, and so you need it. So it's hard to the idea of telling yourself to do something different is kind of not that you're not you. But I would say though, but just as advice. For a young film student, of course, my advice is, you are the thing. Your point of view is the commodity that you have. The way you see is no one else has that but you. And so, however you exercise that, do it to its fullest. Don't be afraid of it. Don't shy away from it. If you think it's weird, it doesn't matter. It's cool. So that to me is the thing I always say. You're the only you there is. So I want to see what you do.
Waving is that a black jacket back there? That'll be you. Yes. Loud as you can.
Or maybe that's enough.
Or, yeah. Couple of show tunes, contest monologue, yeah. I don't know. Shout it. Nope, shout it. Oh, now you're on.
Yeah, whatever. Okay. I'm not gonna get many chances like this with Zach and Ben here, so I'm gonna take it. My name is Troy Cruz, and I'm an editor and photographer. And is it possible that I could give you my resume in real?
No question at all. Yes, hand that to our friend over there. Yeah, there you go. Good job.
Okay, does anybody not have any job-related?
Actually, yeah.
Yes.
I don't have any work. We're about to go on strike.
You're waving furiously in the white in the center in the back there, yes.
This is a question for Ray Fisher. Considering DBS and Zack Snyder's Justice League was amongst one of your first film roles, how did you feel as an actor, tackling such a large project with a bunch of, needless to say, much more experienced actors? Was that daunting, or were you just ready to go with no fear?
I felt really welcomed and really invited pretty early on in the process. I knew things were going to go swimmingly when I showed up for my test for BDS in Detroit. It was around Easter, and I hop out of the SUV, and a little bit nervous, right? It's my first test for anything, really. And I hear a voice behind me go, "Ray!" I turn around and it's Zach, and I go, "Yo, Zach!" And we just take this elevator ride up, and I'm just like, "Oh, this is dude. Like, okay, cool." We chopped up about comic books, Randy getting this all like nuances of like really just silly and geeky stuff. And I was like, I feel like I'm amongst my people, if that makes any sense. And so by the time we got into filming for BBS, Zach, he was like, "Hey, you want to see what we're shooting today?" I was like, "Yeah, cool." And so I ended up meeting Ben during that sequence where they were, what was it, the graveyard sequence where the bat pops out of the mausoleum?
Oh, right.
They were filming that. And so I ended up getting to meet a lot of folks before we even got to set together. So it ended up taking a lot of the edge off for me because I'm like, oh, I meet Jason for the first time, he picks me up and he just bear hugs me, and I'm like, okay, all right. That's this guy, all right? Got to meet Gull, got to meet everybody except for Henry beforehand, but, I will say across the board, everybody was really welcoming, really gracious, and just really excited to be there and get the work done. And I think it all trickles down from the top, and just in how those environments get established. So, long answer short, I felt more than ready, because, folks believed in me to do the job that I was there to do.
Sir, right here.
So, my
Loud as you
question
can.
is for the entire group, but I think it's more for DJ. What challenges did the Batmobile sequence shooting the parademons, what challenges did that present to you and the whole team?
Question for DJ, what were the challenges with the Batmobile shooting the parademons? What kind of challenges did that present?
Well, in some ways it was easier than in GBS because in GBS, Patrick's Batmobile could actually drive around and do stuff for real. So we were anchored with a lot of reality there, but we couldn't go to Pajarnoff because we were in London shooting. So that ended up being pretty much a virtual sequence, except for some stuff that we shot with Ben in the cockpit of the thing. And when Jason Momoa jumped off of the Batmobile and yelled out loud, "Momoa!" as he jumped. so yeah, it was not in the movie. Yeah, so we should, and also too, I think, we labored forever in, actually we were doing pre-production on this sequence while we were shooting, so it was really difficult, but we labored forever on how to get all those major beats right for that chase, and there's just a lot of pre-bits for it, and that rolled right into a lot of virtual production right away. So it was very challenging to make it look real, but I'm satisfied with the way it came out because it's pretty fun. Yeah, just the